Support for Dial M for Crime comes from Mothercare. Turn that maybe into a baby. Get 27% off your first order of Schmuzzles baby fruits with offer code CRIME.
And from Uncle Jack's Shacko Snacks. You need snacks? Well, we've got shacks of snacks. Visit unclejacksshackosnacks.info/dialem snack rewards to get 24p off your first order of Uncle Jack's Shacko Snacks snack packs. Subject to availability. Terms and conditions apply. See in store for details.
And from Cole.
The one true power.
Previously on Dial M for Crime.
We'd searched everywhere. We'd been to every hotel, every Airbnb, and there was just nothing.
No one willing to talk.
No one was there. Nothing to find, no evidence of them. And then...
New voice messages received at 11:15 hours on Friday, the 17th of August. Hello, I don't know what you're doing, but arriving. Deleted. Next message received today at 18:47 hours.
Look, lads, these waters run deeper than you could ever think. The Walsall Hotel lobby won't be putting up with this sort of nonsense for long. Get up while you still can.
I mean, we did everything that we could. Everything we could think of. We went everywhere. Anything. We rattled through phone books, we knocked on doors to just find somewhere, anywhere that the boys had been.
What are you saying?
I'm saying that they didn't stay anywhere.
Previously on Dial M for Crime.
We checked every A to Z from 1950 to 2018. Not a trace of Cobham services.
No, we did find a Cobham services, which, isn't the same.
What could it mean?
But we thought maybe they called it something else to cover their tracks.
We thought we'd get in touch.
You're saying that you cannot confirm or deny that a crime took place on your premises?
No, sir, I'm not saying that whatsoever.
Why can't you tell us whether a crime took place?
Sir, crimes take place every day of the week. Are you from the police?
No, we're from Dial M for Crime podcast.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, that's all right. Plenty of people have. We're getting off track. It feels suspicious that you won't even take a glance at the CCTV to tell us if Isaac and Declan were there or not.
Sir, the only thing that's suspicious is you calling up out of the blue demanding CCTV records you aren't permitted to see.
Look, I have no alternative but to think that you are somehow involved, madam.
As best as we can tell, there is no Cobham, there is no Cobham. These places are a fiction. But why?
And more importantly, it poses one truly existential question.
What has Cobham got to hide?
Previously on Dial M for Crime.
I just don't think we're going to solve this one.
Look, we have to. This is the most important case
It's
of our
one
lives.
case too far.
No, but look, these are fellow podcasters. They're blood to us.
They're dead, Mike. They're
That
dead.
doesn't mean we can't bring
They're food
justice.
for the worms.
Look, the show's motto is live forever.
I don't think it is.
What do you mean?
It's murder happens a lot, all the time.
Yeah, no, but the show's spirit is live forever.
Is it?
Yes, we've got to do
Let's
it for
do it then!
To justice! Two podcasts, both alike in dignity, in fair the Midlands, where we lay our scene. An ancient trip breaks to new scrutiny, where London blood makes Bloxwich hands unclean. And with the fatal loins of this one Joe, a pair of podcast hosters lose their lives, whose misadventured podcast on the go did with their death to our show breathe new life. The fearful passage of their death-marked show, and the continuance of their mortal fears, along with details we are yet to know, is now the 2 hours traffic of your ears, the which, if you with patient ears attend, what police have missed, dial M shall strive to mend.
From Denim Umbrella Productions, this is
Dial M for crime, caressing the ghosts.
Coming for Answers.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Ike.
Let's get spooky.
Death is like a full stop, an ending, definitive, permanent and conclusive. Death keeps the characters that make up our continued existence from spilling out beyond the confines of their predetermined, finite space. It seems to touch us gently on the forearm with all of the compassion and resolved sobriety of an old friend at a velvet crossroads. It says, "This will do for now. This far is far enough." But murder? Why, murder is a question mark. And the answer is never where you'd expect and never what you dreamed it would be.
That was really lovely.
Thanks, I was working on that
I'm
for...
actually welling up a little.
It wasn't supposed to be sad, actually. It was supposed to be kind of, setting the scene.
No, not through sadness. I'm just
through beauty.
Emotionally spent.
Good.
Really. It's been a long few months.
A long process.
Looking at this.
Uh-huh.
And I think it's good to finally kind of we're getting closer.
I can smell it. I can smell him.
I can smell him too. It had been nearly a fortnight since we'd heard anything at all.
13 days. Easy.
No emails, no phone calls, no text messages, no Snapchats, no posts on the forums, not so much as an anonymous letter slipped under either of our front doors.
Silence. Radio silence, I tell you.
Yeah, nothing on the radio either. We were really running low on content.
On morale.
On answers, but most of all, running low on hope. Which is why I say that it was nothing short of a miracle when at 1:34, Ike called me. Oh, fuck. Oh. Hello?
Mike,
Yeah?
drop everything.
I'm not hot.
Mike,
What?
there's no time for this. We need to go now.
Sorry. Who is this?
There's no time for names, Mike. Drop everything.
But
I need everything, Mike.
what time is it even?
There's been a leak. It's 1 o'clock. It's in the afternoon. I don't know why you're asleep.
What?
Okay, it's putting me on edge that that's even the case.
I had an interview.
We've been contacted. We've got to go.
Mate, they are
Get
not.
the car ready.
They are not going to be happy. Yeah, car. Okay, right. I'll be there in 5 minutes.
Okay, see you there. Bring your best hat.
Is there a best hat?
He spent 30, maybe 40 minutes searching for that hat, but
It's my only one.
it was worth it.
Oh, that's very kind of you. Yeah, I mean, I didn't get there until maybe an hour later or so.
Yeah. Traffic
and-
was bad.
Always is around here. But when I got there, I could sense that the wait was really getting to Ike. I'd never really seen him like that.
I was pacing.
He doesn't normally wear hats. It was a shivering kind of mood, a quivering, shaking, trembling sort of a day.
A dampness in the air and on the walls.
And I really could feel underneath all that something more fundamental. And that was hope.
Yeah.
The reignition of some damp, trembling, newborn hope.
Contact was its name, and contacting us was its game. For at last, after weeks of waiting, of striving, of bated breath, we had an email.
Dear sirs, I have all of the answers you seek, and a whole lot more to boot. It's been some time since I had the pleasure of another man's company, but if you scratch my back, I'll climb all over yours. If you're ready to get your hands on everything I've got to offer, meet me on Hampstead Heath after sundown. I'll be wearing my best hat, and I hope you'll be bringing yours. Trust me, it'll be a night you'll never forget. Yours expectantly, Roger X.
So, what did you do?
Well, you were there.
Oh, yeah, no, I was. I still don't quite see why I had to come to you just to read an email.
We got our hats, we got our coats, we got into the car, minds in gear, hearts pumping with excitement, with anticipation.
Hampstead Heath on the sat-nav.
Absolutely. And not that far.
No.
Lest we forget.
Yeah, we
it
only
was
had...
almost as if he knew where we were coming from.
That was, now that I think about it, quite odd and potentially quite worrying.
Yeah, something to think about. On the way, we thought we'd throw the ball around, see if we could come up with anything new.
Take the time to review the facts of the case as we knew them.
The thing that stands out for me is this idea of shame. That's a...
Shame.
Shame. Shame is... It's a tier 1 emotion. You understand what I mean by that?
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
As written by...
Yeah,
you know,
everyone who's ever written on the subject
fields.
of emotionality in the mind.
From Freud right up until
to the
whoever's
present
big now.
day. And shame is an emotion that brings with it a real sense of self-loathing. And it's on that basis that I can't shake this feeling that there's more to Declan and the other Isaac. Declan and Isaac's misadventures than meets the eye. What if, as we discussed but threw out early, what if they were walking into the lion's den on purpose?
That's interesting. I've never been able to shake the idea that this is actually something far more sinister, that perhaps all of this is an elaborate, as we've mentioned before, subliminal marketing ploy from McDonald's themselves. You know, the way in which the story is set up so that the McDonald's section is a haven. It's the one moment of peace, happiness, and harmony that we find in their tale.
There is that grating metal noise in the background and a lot of eating sounds. So how does that kind of tie in?
Well, the grating metal sounds are a reminder that danger is out there. But the eating sounds are a reminder that there's comfort.
Humanity.
In all of that salt.
And, you know, eating, what is more alive than inducing nourishment into one's own being?
Exactly.
This is a person who is crying out, look at me, God,
yeah, and
I'm alive.
And it must be telling that at their darkest hour, it is their first thought to go there. And, of course, the wonderful server who calling out the numbers, who we interviewed, I think last week, was it, that went out?
Very, very unhelpful.
Yeah, and she was very evasive.
Now, that struck me as odd at the time. Yeah, why would she not remember?
I know, because like most people, when we turn up on their doorsteps at 9, 10 at night to interview them about a matter as important as potential murder / evil corporate marketing campaign, they're just dying to spill the beans.
And it's something that's stuck with them. And they've almost, you see it, they've been waiting for the opportunity. They've been expecting that. Ding dong.
And yet with her, there was nothing of the sort. But notice how she was so ready and willing and, dare I say it, desperate to threaten us with calling the police, but never did. She didn't want them snooping around.
There was something missing. There was something off.
Yeah. And I thought that there was a potential outcome in which Roger X was her back again under a disguised name.
Put it on the whiteboard. That's something to follow up and put it on now. Never did go up on the whiteboard. And it got me thinking, sometimes the thing you're looking for, it can slip away into the night.
In this instance, that was the pen.
What do you mean?
I couldn't find... the pen's gone.
So the pen slipped away. The thing you were looking for, the pen,
Yeah.
it got out of your reach. And that's how we have to approach solving a crime like the murders of Isaac and the other one as well. And that's the basis, really, of the scientific method.
Yes, no, definitely.
Which is what we employ.
I just didn't want it... I didn't want people to think that we'd let go of the McDonald's idea because that was still on the table.
And the shame
didn't have
idea
the
as
pen.
well. We're following them both.
Yeah, well, it wasn't
pretty intensely.
necessarily a theory as such as it was a kind
It's
of...
a theory of
posturing.
of mind, I suppose, a TOM. And at the end of the day, they're kind of tier 0, above the tier 1 emotionality. Where did we go next?
Well, we reviewed some of the facts of the case. We looked at what we knew about Cobham.
Yep. And it was precious little.
We studied maps of the M1. You know, part of it becomes the M6.
I didn't.
But there's 2 M6s. I don't, like, it's just mad. Like, it was...
616.
So we just...
Morse code.
So we, there was that angle, obviously. We reviewed the multiple addresses. There was that, the letter from Airbnb. There was all of these different bits of evidence, but none of them in any way tying together to a coherent...
mesh in front of us. It was like looking at a jigsaw, but you've bought hundreds of jigsaws and you've maybe taken 3 pieces from this one, 2 from that, and they wouldn't connect. It's frustrating.
Oh, it was
you got
infuriating.
Very angry,
I was
remember.
furious.
You punched a hole in the wall.
And we were in the car, so that was even more impressive
uncalled
and
for.
dangerous.
Of course,
That's been quite expensive.
Our research into Roger X was extensive. We were not going to go to this meeting unprepared. We were not willing to just walk into some kind of trap.
But at the
Far
same
be it
time,
from us.
we couldn't. There was nothing.
There's absolutely no one called Roger X on Facebook.
No, and there's no way of knowing. Was that a kiss? Was it an initial?
It's anyone's guess, and that's really the genius of that kind of clue maker.
That kind of code name.
Yeah, it's
uncrackable. We didn't want to go in with nothing but
blind,
but we did. Well, we had to. Yeah.
Hello? Is someone there?
Hello.
Roger?
That's right.
Roger X.
No, just Roger.
So it was, just to clarify, it was a kiss and the... Anyway, it's me.
Are you ready?
I am ready, Roger. Is it... I've got to ask, is it okay if I record our meeting?
Oh, yes. Or like that, yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
You can have a copy if it... We're not going to do anything weird with it. We won't edit you to sound...
Oh, you know how to make an old man happy.
That's great, Roger. Put it there. Oh, very damp.
So you did it. You met with Roger.
Yeah, we met.
Oh my god! And was it everything that we'd hoped?
It was an experience.
What information did he have?
He didn't. I wouldn't say he had information as such. He was a man of experience.
I suppose I should frame this for the listeners. I have not been told. Ike got back in the car and he had a dazed, a far-off, 1,000-yard stare. It was the stare of a man to whom things had been exposed.
Absolutely.
And who knew that he would never be the same again.
That's true as well. I feel my life now is a before and an after Roger X.
Tell us everything. What did he have for us?
He had a way about him that will stick with me for as long as I live, certainly as long as we live,
right,
and certainly as long as the podcast and the investigation continues, I suppose, as well.
Yeah, and so what did he give you? What information was there?
He, you heard, of course, some of the opening gambits there.
I know, a very
pleasantries is perhaps too strong a word because it was a meeting of minds. It was a meeting of people with objectives that didn't necessarily mesh and were looking for ways to get around that kind of diplomatic brouhaha
Oh, right, okay. And so who was Roger? Like, that's the big question.
Well, I'll be honest, I left knowing it spiritually and kind of intellectually as little about him as when we met.
Deep state, you're thinking?
It's a potential, I suppose, yeah.
Some sort of spy, perhaps,
He
maybe,
certainly
yeah?
had a lot to hide.
Right.
But also, on the other hand, more than enough that he was willing, nay, desperate to expose.
And what, in return, what did he...
He didn't want really much of anything. He was a man who was pregnant with information, with, I suppose, a sense of companionship that he was willing to.
And what was he looking to get from this? What was he looking for?
I suppose he was looking for something he hadn't had in a while, some experience that had been eluding him in exchange for what we need.
Some sort of affirmation, maybe.
Less an affirmation.
A confirmation.
A confirmation of,
Of
a communion, perhaps.
okay, what was it that he needed?
He needed what I had to offer in exchange for what he was prepared
This is
to give.
ridiculous. What did Roger want?
Roger was an old man who wanted to fuck me in the park.
Another lead had gone cold. Another well had run dry. And we had driven, stumbled. In desperation, we'd launched ourselves headfirst into yet another dead end.
Into the arms of a...
Don't worry. Don't. It just upsets you. We decided for that reason to take some time apart. Not that the partnership hadn't been fruitful, but we felt as though we were stewing in our own creative juices.
Felt like we were both missing the same piece of the puzzle.
We were two men looking in the exact same direction.
And sometimes you got to look behind you.
Exactly. So we decided to take a week.
Yeah.
No contact.
None.
And to use that time to cool down.
Get back to basics.
To debug the program.
Absolutely.
To, run a systems update.
Sure.
Get the disk cleanup in there.
Defrag.
Yeah, exactly. It's so important.
Enough of the frag.
And to then reassess, to go over the evidence in a vacuum, to come up with some new ideas, to buy a new pen for the whiteboard. Or, we didn't specify.
Did you get that?
No, I thought you.
Okay.
But to really just try and come to some new conclusions. Start afresh. A change is as good as a rest. We thought it was time for both.
And it was.
I decided after much mulling to follow up on a lead that had been troubling me for some time. I'd received a call 2 months ago, actually now.
Before we even began the investigation.
Indeed.
Interesting.
At the time, it made little sense to me, but as soon as we started this,
Clicked.
the pieces began to fall together. But the fact that it was so out of the blue, it made me think, no, it made me fear. And I didn't want to open that particular can of murderous worms.
Can't fault you for that.
But now it was time to pluck up the courage, straighten my back, follow my heart, and follow the lead. And you?
The similar sort of investigation work done on my end. I didn't get a call, so perhaps that's, a murderer toying with you more specifically. They maybe know that
there's
you're
no need to
vulnerable
necessarily jump to the conclusion that it was a murderer.
That's just a thought. I
Okay,
throw out
yeah.
the thoughts and then we evaluate them together. That's the scientific method.
Okay.
They probably know I'm
What
quite
tier
robust. That's
is speculation.
the biggest tier there is. And knowing that I'm, not easily put off my game, like other members of the partnership, they wouldn't have gone for me. So what I did for the week, I was actually away my sister's birthday, but whilst DJing, whilst playing those tunes on the dance floor, S Club, it was kind of throwback. I was thinking a lot. The little grey cells were working overtime, milling away, churning through the knowledge that we have, that I have, to see what kind of conclusion they could reach.
And?
Jury's out.
Right. Should we talk about my thing then?
Sure.
Okay, good.
How
Hi, it's Mike.
I'm sorry, who?
Mike Renfold.
I know it doesn't ring a bell, I'm afraid.
You called and said you were my dad?
No, I don't think that was me, Mikey. I don't think it was me.
No, only you left this address, and it's quite specific.
No, I think you've got the wrong person there, Mikey.
Are you saying that you're not Willie Renfold?
No, I'm not him.
You're not the person who lives as the sole inhabitant of this
No.
very cold island? Hello? Oh. Hello?
Hello, you still there?
Yeah, it's still me, so...
Okay, I've got to go now. It's lovely chat.
No, only sorry, it's just, it's a really long way.
I live here, I know that.
The cab is waiting, and
You don't want to get a cab, lad, you want a cycle.
I didn't have a chance to bring it because I had to get the train for 9 hours.
Well military charges £5 an hour.
And then it was a ferry.
Well, I wouldn't have got that either, lad. They've got planes these days. Anyway, Mikey, lovely to chat.
No, but you don't
to
have.
Lad.
It's just if we don't do this now, it's gonna be a long.
I understand, laddie. I've got to go now.
I've really come a long way.
Okay, well, have a nice trip home.
Thanks, Dad.
Bye, laddie.
Love you.
You've got a great stubble going on.
Thanks, Dad.
You do us proud.
Love you.
I like spending time with you.
Oh, that's very kind.
How do I hang up?
That's some powerful stuff, Mike. Thank you for sharing that.
all right,
Genuinely. I do have a couple of questions.
Fire away.
Foremost, I suppose, is how does that experience? Now, that's obviously a very emotional, a very raw experience.
I'm glad that came across.
It really did. It really did. How does that relate directly to the murder that we're focusing on in the podcast today, and have been, in fact, for the last couple of months?
You've used some strong words there, like direct links.
Okay, well, that's fine. I'm happy for an indirect.
The indirect link, I suppose, mainly is that the two things were happening at the same time.
Right, because in the setup, it did. You sounded like there were cogs
Thinking
turning.
back, I probably did oversell it. But also, it was about a journey.
Yeah, that's true.
It was about going to a house you didn't really know much about.
There was some mystery.
There was definitely
that. And I suppose there was also, in the same way as a murder, there was kind of a cutting off of a relationship with a dad that doesn't want you.
It's easy in hindsight to draw. I think we've got to be careful. I think we've got to be careful about just jumping to conclusions about either story.
Sure.
I suppose also, thinking back, I wasn't sure about this man. So
just as the boys weren't sure about the man who would end up destroying their connection to life.
But I thought that maybe, in retrospect, that it could have been Roger X.
The guy on the island could have been.
Yeah.
That's an interesting theory, then. He looked the same, did he? Or sounded the same? I suppose you didn't.
Neither, as far as I know.
But it could have been a disguise.
Yeah. Of the voice or of the face.
And it's that kind of speculation that leads us into a regular feature here on Dial M for Crime. Let's kick it off.
It's time. Settle yourselves down.
Settle yourselves down.
Get in a comfy chair. Maybe your mum can give you a back massage.
No, she can't.
Anyone will do. The bloodshed.
Hello and welcome back to The Bloodshed, a regular feature on Dial M for Crime. Mike, why don't you explain to the listeners, in case there are any new ones, how it all goes down here at TBS?
What it is, we here in The Bloodshed feel as though policing is very old hat.
Well, it certainly is.
They've got their ways, they've got their means.
They stick to them.
Sometimes they get results. But in a case like this, where it's been unsolved for so long,
Months.
where every single lead is
Weeks.
a dead end, goes cold, that we need a new approach to policing.
Outside of the box, lateral thinking.
Some blue sky magic. So what we do here in The Bloodshed is we take the soul of policing,
Yeah, the soul of science.
indeed, but we take the heart of improv
Yeah.
and of business acumen.
And to some extent, magic.
Well, to a very large extent, I
Yeah.
would say. And what we do, we slam those bad boys together.
It's very good.
We've got our games.
We sure have. I don't know about games. I'd call them experiments.
I suppose so. I like to think of them as games.
These
It
are
keeps
fun
the
elements.
energy up.
Sure, that's true.
I want to be thinking positive, yeah?
Absolutely.
New.
This one is a classic, one of your favourites, I assume. We're going to bandy between us some vocab, see what kind of theories emerge from it. This is tapping into the reptilian part of the brain. Now, that is something you can Google at home or ask Jeeves and see what he's got to say about it. It is true, it is factual, and it is how we're going to solve this crime. Kick us off, Mike.
Can we just, as always, just
Take a back
just a
seat.
slight pause, just to get in the mind space.
Okay, give me just a moment as well. If you want to join in at home, maybe get into your own mind space and see how that feels on you. Whew. Okay. Don't forget, yeah, you're doing your breathing? Good, he is. I can confirm he is doing his breathing. It's quite the sight to behold. Hit us with the first vocab word.
Driving.
To,
Block switch.
comma,
The
young
strapping.
boys
Deliberated.
for,
Hours.
because,
They
were,
confused.
by,
The
total
lack
of,
communication.
between,
Themselves.
and,
He
who,
shall
not,
be.
named.
Okay.
Oh my God, now
okay.
that's given me a lot to think about, actually. I don't know about you, I didn't feel that coming.
No. It's so raw.
God, I'm kind of shaken by
Yeah,
that,
it's
actually.
like
I've
a
got
kind
like
of numinous sort of feeling.
I don't know if you've ever been to a what's it called when you chat with a ghost?
Seance.
A seance. They do this thing. Everyone puts their hands on a I think it's normally like a novelty mug that goes upside down onto the twister mat.
Right.
And you put your just fingertips on it.
Okay.
Maybe just the two fingertips.
Right.
Everyone's doing this, right? So
There's several fingers. all
yeah,
over
so
it.
exactly, more fingers than you could care to mention. And what the ghost's role is, or like I'm as skeptical as they come. Perhaps it's
Energy trails.
exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
It's an energy, a scientific energy trail sort of vibe, potentially.
Spiritual shadows.
It will push the mug all around the mat, and it could land actually at any of the colours, and it's then your job to kind of interpret it. But if you feel that, and I have, and I think you're going to, it's very similar to what just happened in this room. There was a kind of spark there that I didn't feel either of us were controlling.
Something pulling the words out of us. I wasn't
Absolutely.
pushing.
Yeah.
It was all being pulled from
that's
me.
an amazing way of
So they
of
were in the
saying it.
car,
Right.
and they were deliberating, was it?
Yeah, now that's a very loaded term.
It was quite paradoxical because they were deliberating
Yeah.
about a lack of communication between themselves, first of all,
Yeah.
and also he who shall not be named. Now, obviously, that's not a copyright infringement because I don't know who that might be referring
It could
to.
be, anything or anyone at this point, and anyone's guess.
Would you like to take any?
I don't feel ready to, and I think it would be perhaps contrary to the wishes of...
It'd be crass.
Exactly, it would. Too early to say at this stage.
I think while the energy's up, while the spirits, the energy trails are here, I think that we should move on to the next. Now, have you got up the word generator?
Any moment now. While I get it up, why don't you explain?
Look, whilst we love when these things come organically from the heart, from
the ghosts.
From the ghosts, perhaps, dare we say it, from the soul.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need something to kickstart. Sometimes, you're stuck in a particular idiom, in a rut of your own thinking, in your own, dare we say, cognitive moat.
Oh, I think we dare.
There you go.
I think we dare.
And sometimes outside those castle walls, there's an entire kingdom, a fiefdom of thought to be had.
For
and
sure.
You're not going to access it without someone out there sending up a flare.
Absolutely.
So what this is that it's a sending up of 3 random flares. We get 3 random words thrown at us. And from those, we challenge ourselves to piece them into the narrative.
Into a theory.
Yeah, well, exactly.
And it's like they say, isn't it? There's no answer without a bit of randomness. And we're kind of outsourcing that randomness.
Was that Isambard Kingdom Brunel?
Voltaire, I think.
Oh, yes, sorry.
And
yes.
let me hit you with this. The first bit of randomness has already happened. I'm on our usual randomwordgenerator.com. I asked for 3 words. It's given me 5.
It's giving you 5. Are we going with 5? Are we going to challenge ourselves? 5 random flares? We go with what we are given.
The energy trails.
Exactly,
suggest.
Okay. So,
here they are. I'm going to do them in the order that they are on the website.
Obviously. Yep. That's good.
Host.
Now, already that's loaded with possibilities.
I don't know where you've gone. I'm thinking the Roman Catholic faith, the Communion Act. I don't know why, I don't know where. But
I was thinking potentially web hosting.
Also interesting. Now, let me hit you with this. Host is just ghost without the G. And what does the G stand for?
So maybe, I don't know, but maybe there's like a spare, like an orphaned G somewhere else in these words. And
G, they mean it as gangster.
Right. So you're thinking the mafia.
So if maybe someone were to say, I am the G or I'm a G, that's their way of saying I'm a gangster, perhaps a gangster host. Someone who welcomes other gangsters into their personal lodgings. An Airbnb, an Air, G and G.
Right.
So that's just an idea.
Amazing. I hadn't even thought of hosting as in just being a host.
Well, I mean, that's the way it works.
There's so much. Okay, words too. I can't.
Wire together, they fire together, and vice versa.
That is, I believe, available on t-shirts and mugs in the merch store. Is it not?
Baby.
Oh,
host.
Goodness.
Baby.
Hosting a baby. I mean,
no.
There's no need to connect.
Don't beat around the bush. It's possession.
Host baby.
The host baby is the baby into which the force,
right,
the crime is placed.
Right, and has there been any evidence thus far of any kind of... There was the child next door that they mentioned.
Absolutely, but try this one on for size. Has there been any non-evidence of baby involvement or oversight?
No, I know. I mean, when you say it like that, it becomes almost too obvious that there is definitely some kind of baby involvement. I'm thinking as well, baby spice trade, East India Trading Company, pirates,
oh my God.
Somalia, Mali,
You're
and
on
me.
a roll, don't stop.
It was a dog.
And that would play into the host. Because there's no other creature attracts the fleas, the parasite is the host for them,
right,
as the canine, man's best friend.
Well, exactly.
And greatest betrayer.
This is, I mean, already this is like falling into
new ground,
place.
isn't it?
Okay.
Try this one on for size. Wine. Now that's WINE.
As in
the beverage.
As in what you might drink with the host during communion.
Oh, God, we've blown the lid off this one. But where?
It's only the priests again.
Can I give you one more? Can I give
another
you
word? We're moving on already.
Ritual.
Holy fuck.
This is
I mean, listeners will think that this is just that we wrote this list.
I
Do you want to get the
guarantee
screenshot on that?
Yeah,
We'll
I'm going to get
pop
it
that on the
right now.
Patreon.
Random word generator. I asked for 3 words. It gave me 5, so it knew.
And it really needed to help us here. So
What about
host,
this, though?
baby, I mean the baby Jesus, always depicted like
The
that.
holy host or ghost, they say, but sometimes
But without
they
the
probably
G,
say
gangster ghosts.
the holy host. Last one though. Now this is a bit of a curveball.
Wine
I'll be
ritual.
the first to say it.
Okay.
So we've got host, baby,
wine,
ritual.
ritual.
The last one is doubt. Doubt.
Doubting Thomas.
Now, what was his kind of tie-in, though?
He didn't really believe
He didn't
in-
believe that the holes were there. He didn't believe that Jesus had been penetrated. The boys, now they were.
Now, I mean, the evidence is incontrovertible on
It
that
stacks up thoroughly.
They were, I think, only penetrated.
Absolutely, and some of the imagery
I mean, over and over
that was released is shocking, to say the least.
is what could only be described as unholy.
And how does that tie into communion then? I suppose it is a type of communion, but not the ritualistic kind.
No, I suppose not. Or maybe it's just like a kind of, when the brain is aphasic, it reaches for comparisons, that maybe it's just about communion and we're supposed to look elsewhere around that word. Although I'm thinking as well that there's definitely an element, in the communion of coming of age. Your
that's
first
true.
communion is like entering you into...
When you become a man.
Yeah.
Or,
A woman.
alternatively, any other gender.
So maybe there's something about that, maybe Joe saw it as some kind of...
A time
he saw
to
it as
get a baby
gift.
drunk on wine and then cast doubt on its ability
I feel
to
like we might be
recollect.
going off piste a bit. I'm thinking more that he thought he was doing them a favour
By giving them the wine.
by giving them the wine, by having
playing
this
host.
by having this coming of age ceremony in which he,
Absolutely. I mean, let's not
Well,
go
we don't
back
need to
down
say it
that
again.
rabbit hole. Last feature, last piece of the puzzle. It's time for the automatic writing segment. Take your holy paper.
No, I did it last week.
It's my turn.
It's your turn.
Okay.
It's your turn.
As ever, I'm going to
You remember I basically drew not a perfect,
a
but
portrait.
it was it was Mother Teresa.
That was really novel, actually,
which
because I
now-
know that you've never seen the mother before.
I refuse to look
beforehand.
on her visage.
And now, having drawn her, anything but.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that now tying in with this idea of communion. I
'Cause
mean,
we-
I mean, we haven't even. I'm certain the police haven't even scratched the surface of the religious
Don't even think
angle.
about it right now. I need to clear my head for the automatic writing. I'm going to go into the altered state.
Okay, are you going to need some time for that, or
No, I can do it quite quickly
You're a
because
seasoned pro.
I do practice, but I will need you to avert your eyes if that's all right, just because I have
Okay.
some private steps that I do beforehand.
Okay, are you going to talk us through it as you do so?
Sorry, I won't be answering any questions in the state.
That's fair.
Let me just access it. I need to just hyperventilate a little now. Okay, I'm there. Perhaps if you translate.
Okay, lots of longer lines that are. Oh, now there's. Oh my goodness, it's become it's become extraordinarily violent. Oh my goodness, he's just. I don't know if you heard that. He screamed the word doubt, which was, if you'll remember, one of the 5 random words that we were given. I feel like the process is coming towards an end. He's making lots of, frankly, inexcusable noises, but I think we'll have to forgive him that. It's a very trying, a physically exhausting process. He's exhausted. Hidden the page from me somewhat. He has spat on it. He is now licking up his own spit, sputum
I'm back.
as well. I think when you listen back, you're going to regret a lot of what you did. Well, what happened was you did a scribble, and then you spat all over it, dear.
What's it in the shape of?
Well, it can only be described as 9/11.
The digits or the...
No,
the event?
Yes, the somewhat horrific,
I'm so
world-changing
sorry.
terror attack.
I honestly was not.
I mean,
going
your
for-
spittle looks like a very desperate and failed attempt to put out what was such a criminally devastating fire.
I mean, that's really I can only apologise. I don't mean to cause offence.
No, I know you don't mean to, but
that's what the hand drew.
But you have spat on over 3,000 people who died.
I'd never do that. That was forces unknown working through me.
I mean, that's fair. If you want to try that defence in a court of law,
I think let's move on.
Do you want to interpret?
No, what I think was I was picking up on.
I think we can unpack a lot from this. If not about the crime, then potentially about you.
For now, there was a moment there where I felt that I had become. I want to say a deer of some sort, some sort of forest spirit, like the blood of an animal coursing through my veins, and I felt a rickety quality in the elbow that it was as if I was being guided by a big sort of stag puppet master.
No, well, it's interesting because originally, at the beginning, it was
how long was I under?
20 minutes.
Holy hell! That's a record.
But the thing is originally it was a near perfect rendering of Bigfoot. But then what you did was you scribbled the fuck over that. Nearly the second it was done.
Society has scribbled over him and his cryptozoological powers.
Well, yeah.
So that's almost a kind of artistic statement that I was making.
But it feels as though, the spirits had something of a fundamental change of heart as to what they wanted to show you.
A confused, yet perhaps doubly enlightening message.
And the message being...
automatic writing is a complex art.
Yeah.
And it takes as much automation to produce as to interpret.
Okay.
So perhaps maybe in your own time you could go back into the altered state and see, maybe by holding it very close to your eyes, if you can make more of it.
I mean,
I'll dry it off.
I'm
first.
willing. Yeah, that probably would be best. I mean, I'm willing to try, but I've never been induced to picture terrorist atrocities when I've been in the state. So I don't know that it would be much use.
No, that's fair enough.
But I think maybe...
Well, pin it on the board. Maybe get one of our red wires onto that just to signify that we're not quite
mystery.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. A mystery within a mystery,
but,
if you will.
Look, the original back and forth brought to light some really complex mysteries, maybe perhaps a new player in He Who Shall Not Be Named.
Absolutely.
I mean, the random words was such a revelation. I mean, that proof of concept, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, we could take this. In fact, maybe we should take it to the old Bill post haste.
I think, yeah.
Although knowing them, they'd only go and mess it up, wouldn't they? It gets through the system. It's all red tape.
But yeah, some definite church involvement. I think that's incontrovertible.
And that's an angle.
This point.
I mean, I've not read anything.
No, nobody scratched the surface of that even.
And it's always there. It's the last place people look, but there's nothing more prevalent than the church. I've always said it. Every town you go into, the watchful eye of God and his minions.
Well, it's funny that you should bring that up.
Go on.
Because, I mean, is it time to reveal?
If you think it's time, then that's probably the Force telling you.
Look,
I don't mean the Star Wars Force.
No.
I meant, a real kind of scientific force.
Well, yeah, naturally. I mean, our listeners would know that. Yeah. You can't listen to the bloodshed and then assume that we believe in such
that Obi-Wan's popping along
hokum
to tell us where Madeleine McCann's buried. No.
Horse shit. I mean, we're coming to the end of this episode of Dial M for Crime. We've got one more episode.
Yeah, in this little mini series.
Bank of 5. And I think it's time to get some real answers. Enough of the theorising, the spitballing, the back and forth. I wouldn't mention that again.
Oh, I thought that's what you were alluding to when you said spitballing.
I meant it in the figurative, not the anecdotal.
Maybe just flag that up in future. That's fine.
Have.
Cool.
Enough of the pen for the board that we don't have, but enough of the whiteboard, enough of this red string. I think it's time.
This is radical.
To properly get in, and that is why we have planned to visit Block Switch ourselves.
You heard it here first. I mean, where else would you hear it? But still enjoy the fact that you heard it from the horse's mouths.
I know. And I mean, we had plans to visit some of the places they did. The Showman.
Yeah.
Famously, I mean, you guys don't need telling about the
Any
Showman.
true crime geek is going to want to hit up the Showman. That place is spooky as they come.
There were intimations in some of their last broadcasts that the enormous CCTV camera above the road was gone.
Yes. Now, when we've checked on Google Maps, it's still there. But you know how it is sometimes these lesser known kind of hovels in horrible areas of the country that no one wants to visit. They don't get photographed too regularly. So it could just be old data, new avenues.
So we're going to try and find out about that.
We need to know.
And I think, it wasn't in our itinerary. We're going to have to squeeze it in somewhere because we've only got a couple of days up there.
Mm-hmm.
But I think now we've got to have a look around any of the churches.
Absolutely.
I mean, they never mentioned a church in Blocks, which I don't think. I've been through the transcripts.
Perhaps kind of subtextually, though.
Right,
Because
like
everything
with the
comes
random
back
words.
to the church, doesn't it? At the
I think
end of
so,
the day.
yeah. All roads lead to the church.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So I think it would be remiss of us to not.
Yeah.
look
And
that
perhaps
up
we
now.
can get some audio from a graveyard or something just for the kind of ambience that we want to capture
Yeah.
for the concluding part. Because we're not going to leave you without answers.
No. And if that means going to the house ourselves,
What's
it
the
means
worst
going
that
to
could
the house
happen?
ourselves.
The spirits are on our side. Ritual, doubt, host, baby.
Wine.
We're in for a good time, I'd say.
I think so. So we leave tomorrow, and it's going to be a busy week for Mike and Ike.
There are so many questions left unanswered, stones left unturned.
Doors left unlocked, phones left unrung.
Who was Roger X and what did he really want?
Will I ever meet my dad?
Certainly not, but how does the church come into all of this?
Did Mother Teresa have something to do with 9/11?
Is giving a baby wine all it's cracked up to be?
What about Bigfoot?
All this and more on the next episode of Dial M for Crime. Dial M for Crime is a Denim Umbrella Studios production hosted by Mike Grenfold and Tongue-Tied Ike the Tongue-Tied Franklin.
Our theme music is inspired by Salieri and composed by Microsoft Songsmith. Special thanks to Roger X, the Cornish Welders Guild, Big Blind Willie Renfold, and Cole, the one true power.
Dial M for Crime will return.